So you lay it out as flat and square as possible. And some people, they'll clamp something like this to the bottom, or they'll clamp something like this to try to keep them flat. You can do that. You don't have to. It is helpful. But like I said, how you attach the top is where all the magic is. So basically, you get it nice and square. Okay, yeah, I know I'm square. And then you can clamp it down. But if you tack this in the correct order, you're not going to have a bunch of movement happening. So the key is when you tack this together, you have to tack on opposite corners. So I'm going to tack right here, and before this has too much time to cool, I'm going to come in here and put a tack on the opposite corner. That way, as they cool, they pull against each other. Then I'm going to double check. Is it still square? If it is, then I'm going to tack and tack. And that's going to keep this thing from just walking all over the place. That's the best tip I can give you, because if you don't, you're going to tack this, and then it's not going to be square anymore. And then that problem just gets worse when you do the second one, and then when you do the third one. By the time you get ready to tack your fourth corner, it's way out. You're ended up breaking all the tacks, grinding them all off, and starting over, and you repeat that process over and over and over. The fastest way is just like this right here. Right there. I hit both those in rapid succession, and look at that. Hasn't moved even the slightest bit. And I didn't even clamp this. The key is not how tight you clamp. It's where you weld and in what order you weld. Alright, so that's tacked. Question is it still square? Yes, it is. Alright, that's how you're going to attach every single tube on this frame. Okay, once you've got this all tacked, now the key is going to be what strategy should you use to fully weld this so it doesn't twist, bow, bend, pop your welding tacks off. So, same strategy. Now, the one thing you may want to, that you have to really resist is welding these insides. That's definitely the very last thing you got to do, because that has the most leverage. It's going to do the most damage to the squareness of your frame. Now, you can go ahead and measure corner to corner, check is it square. If it's not to your liking, bust all these tacks, start over. If it is square and you're like, well, is it twisted? You can stretch a string from this corner to that corner, another string at the same time from that corner to that corner, and do the strings touch each other? Is one string holding the other up, or are they just trying to occupy the same space? If they're both trying to occupy the same space, then that is telling you that you're not twisted. So this is like the poor man's way to do this without any fancy tools. I'm going to weld this right there, and then I'm going to flip it and weld the opposite joint at the same time. Because once again, you always want your welds pulling against each other. Okay, so now I have heated up this tube, which means this tube has grown. So I don't want to grow this tube more by welding here. I want to go over here, and I want to weld that to grow that tube the same amount, keeping this thing from twisting. So, I'm going to quick jump over here to the opposite corner, and I'm going to weld this guy so that way this expands equal to what that just expanded. Okay. So now, this tube has stretched a little bit, expanded thermally. This tube has expanded thermally. And they're probably both about the same amount. So now I'm going to come over here and do this side, the back side. Then I'm going to do that side and the back side of that one. Okay, so now that I have, top, bottom, and all these, I'm going to hit the outside of this one, outside of that one, outside of this one, and outside of that one. So this is the coldest joint, because I started there. Let's hit this one first. Okay, now that I've got all the outsides, I can finally do the easy fillet welds that everybody wants to do first because they know they can do a good job on those. And when you're struggling to, if you've, tacked it, taken it apart, tacked it, taken it apart, finally you get to the point where you want to start welding, people are most naturally inclined to do these fillets first. Don't do it. Okay, there it is. Real question is it still square? Yes, it is. So, mission accomplished. That's how you weld square tubing so that it doesn't twist or, turn into a noodle. Okay, the next part we're going to do is we're going to add the vertical legs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clamp a piece of angle iron right here. It's just as a little aid to help me hold it in place. So I clamp it, lift it up, get this thing in place where we want it. Make sure flat to the outside. Make sure I'm square. Once I'm square, I'm going to go ahead, clamp it up here. So now that it's clamped like that, I can make fine adjustments with a dead blow hammer or simply, Okay, it needs to come that way. So I could put another piece and pull it the other way.
Okay, so I went ahead and I welded all the legs on and made sure everything was nice and square, welded it all fully, and there's a shot at my welds. You know, they're not the worst and they're not the best. I'm sure there's people who are better, but I feel like they're solid. Then I went ahead and I added the little platform there for the gas tank. I fit the toolbox into position. I added a bar for my clamps and a place to set the welder, and I put some hooks on the edge for the helmet.
And just like that, all of a sudden, your welding table is completely finished. Not really. So, is what happened. I made this welding table a super long time ago, and I lost the footage for the rest of the build. So, I'm going to go ahead and quick give you a explanation of all the features. And please leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know which features I should add, because you know, this thing's kind of like a painting. It's not done until I stop working on it. So I'm always willing to upgrade. And so let's jump right into it. So let's get a look here. I started out and I was going to do this 2-inch hole pattern on everything. But let's be honest, that is a ridiculous number of holes. And these holes, you know, they're not just, you know, randomly drilled. I put them on my mill. The shop is really trashed right now. It's really dirty because I've been in the middle of a lot of projects. So I put them on the mill over there, and I have a digital readout, and I center drilled all of these, except for my mill's not big enough, right? So I could only get to about here, center drilling. And then I pre-drilled them to like 3/8. Then I went through and final drilled them to 5/8. And then, because I can only do half, I had to take the whole thing off, scoot it down, re-indicate the holes, and then do the other half. And then after that whole process being done again, then I went through and I reamed every single one to 630 thousandths. So that was a crazy long process. It took me weeks to get all of them done, and after doing the first one, I decided I can always come back and add more holes. So I went ahead and did a 4x4 hole pattern on everything else. These are 1-inch spaced apart. So the real question is, how did I level the table? First of all, you'll see every single one of these has a bolt here, and a set screw in the middle. I use this right here, right? Except I put it, you know, right there. And I use these precision ground dowel pins, and I put one in there, put one in there, put one in there, and I put 2 of these at both ends, and then I drill through here and tap those holes. So that basically gets the spacing correct. And then I have a pointed set screw that I, you know, put in there. So that gets all the spacing correct. And then you have to level the whole thing. So to level it, you insert the set screw, and as you thread it in, it raises this up. So you put a level all the way across, and you get them all so they're evenly raised. And if you need to tilt any of them, you tighten one side or you tighten the other side, and that will tilt. So basically, you have a set screw on both ends, and you have 4 hold-down bolts that you use to tilt it any way you need. So in the end, you get the entire thing completely flat and level using the jack screw, the jack set screw on both ends, and then you rock it as needed with these guys right here. So that's how the top works. So really, you end up realizing that it's not super critical that the frame be perfectly level, other than you don't want it teeter-tottering on your casters, because that would really make it seem junky. So you do want the frame fairly square, but in the end, you know, you're going to level it with the set screw and those socket head cap screws. So that's what that does. Now, I decided, you know what, I'm always using a chop saw, and I don't really have lots of space to prop my work up while I'm cutting it, so I added this little shelf here and my chop saw, so it's flat. And I really like that, being up there and not cutting down on the concrete. It just makes it a lot easier. You can see the afterthought there. I originally put that, you know, to hold my tank, and I was going to chain it up top, but I was like, you know what? I decided against that, and I went ahead and welded that on. I still haven't painted it, added the chains. This guy here, amazing. If you're going to build one of these, go ahead and put a power strip, because you're always going to use a power strip. And then I just have it plugged in right there. So, and casters. Oh man, I want to put casters in everything in my shop now. Ever since I put casters on this, it's been amazing. If you're going to build a welding table, do not forego the casters. Go ahead and put those on. One thing I don't like is all the slag, dust, dirt, everything falls down onto my welder. I'm considering building a frame and maybe making a shelf up here to put the welder up above. But I have not really decided upon that. Some people, you know, have a plasma cutting thing that goes down. I haven't added that yet either. But the possibilities are endless. That's the great thing I love about, you know, fabricating your own stuff, is that, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Oh, hold down clamps. So this is, you might recognize these, all you guys who like going to Harbor Freight. So I just took bar stock, made sure I turned it 2 sides, and then I cut the end off of a clamp from Harbor Freight. And you just literally, you know, you can slap that in there and then crank it down. And it holds whatever you want. And I've got a bunch of dowel pins. I've made some custom stuff here. You know, you can just, and if you want to make something square, that's why you have all the holes. And then these guys I just made on the lathe. They're aluminum. Nice thing about aluminum is your weld spatter does not stick that much, or near as bad as it would if they were steel. So basically, you know, you got those guys. You can push something up against it. You can have more of them going down this way, like this. And then, you know, you can do things square. So, still have to do some additional reaming. I haven't finished fully reaming. I've got everything on this side of the table reamed. But yeah, and then this is just a, you know, tool shop toolbox. I really like having it right here. You know, you got, you know, just, you know, your square and some files and stuff. And then, you know, other stuff. I am not the most organized, and this is not a tool channel, so I apologize. And this welder is, I just love it. I've had it for years. I bought it new, and it has been a super workhorse. Not super powerful, but it gets the job done. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. If you guys have any questions about the build, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. It really helps out. Thank you so much for watching.